Oh, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda Wilson, and I'm so glad you're here to my channel, Living Abroad and Loving It. Today, I want to share something really special because living abroad and loving it doesn't only mean the places that I've lived, but it also means other places as well because many of you will go to places that I will never visit. And I just want to share with you something, and that is that no matter whether you move to a place or whether you are visiting, just traveling, or if you're retiring there, it's certain to change your life. It's certain that you're going to find things that just change who you are and how you perceive the world. And today I'd like to share with you about our first time living in Mexico for 5 weeks. It was a long stay. And Mexico and San Miguel de Allende, Mexico is Mexico's colonial treasure. And I want to share with you about our extended trip to San Miguel de Allende. The Mexicans are a very happy people. They are always trying to find ways to stay happy and enjoy life. Okay, so that's one of the things that I love this guy's picture because that's just how it is. Okay, but we had the time of our lives, you guys, all the time. There were beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and the weather was really pretty great almost the whole time we were there. So let me just share with you. You don't have to read all of this. You can read this more slowly on your own. But in 2013, we decided to take a vacation. We'd been keeping work schedules that gave us very little time to rest and relax. I was both an interim minister at a Unity Church in Traverse City, Michigan, for about a year and a half, and my partner was teaching a full load of piano students and writing for a newspaper, among other writing jobs. And after hearing great things about San Miguel de Allende from places like International Living and others, we decided to check it out for ourselves. So we booked our Airbnb and our flights to Mexico, not knowing at all that it was the beginning of a love affair with this lovely place. This little house here is the first place we stayed after arriving in San Miguel. It was brand new, and somebody had stayed there for a little while before we got there, like as an Airbnb, but just like for a week or something. And so, really, it was brand new, and it was our home base. However, we didn't have a car, and we found out that it was about a 20-minute taxi ride one way back and forth to town. So, about 40 minutes of taxi, paying a taxi driver. But this little place was adorable. It was very charming. Okay. It was an adequate and cozy place to stay, and the price was super good. And just some fun things here. The kitchen, that's the little kitchen. That's the dining room table we sat at to eat our meals. And the laundry basket is literally a laundry basket. And that was what we took our dirty clothes in down to the main house on the property where we washed our clothes and then hung them out to dry. And it wasn't that it was bad, there was anything wrong with it. It was just that it was different. But it was also kind of fun because it was different. Yeah. However, on one of our trips to the organic market in town, the 20 minutes away, we met someone who knew someone who had a house in the middle of town that they would rent to us for a few nights. In fact, I think it turned out to be a whole week. So we moved in, and let me tell you, it was a pure pleasure. This was a big house, many rooms, big, comfortable beds, lovely dining room tables and chairs, and comfy places to sit, and close right downtown in the center of town. It was awesome. Okay. So we loved it. We just loved it. And we were able to go out into the neighborhood there and see it. The rooftop terrace on this place was really cool. You could see in many different directions in from the top there, including the Parroquia de San Miguel Arcángel, Ar- Arcángel, excuse me. And not only that, uh, it had this cute little way of getting up there. It was just really cool. And when you were up there, you could see all the wires and everything everywhere. Mexico is so famous for having a gazillion electric wires mixed with if you have internet and things. So they're all visible. You can see them. They don't put them underground. And so the other thing is that you actually could see this parroquia. That's like a Catholic church, a big, well-known Catholic church. And I put a little arrow there so you could see where the church is. But it was just so cool up there. I'm telling you, it was. And in Mexico, there are flowers everywhere. You could see flowers. They kind of cover up some of the visibility of the wires. But you could sit there and you could have your cold drink and you could enjoy the view and the weather and you could enjoy the fact that we were actually living our dream. That's one of the funnest things you'll find is all of a sudden you'll be somewhere on your trip and it will dawn on you, I'm here. I'm doing this thing that I wanted to do for so long. And that was a really cool, just a cool thing to be able to recognize that we were living the dream. And one of the things that San Miguel de Allende is famous for is their big central plaza. And it's where everybody gets together, they meet for dancing. Oh, they had nights in the evening, they had nights when people were dancing. The Mexicans, they danced their way, and the expats, so many of them would come down to this huge park and just see where in that one picture on the right hand side there, you see where all those bushes are. Well, they go all the way around this block, clear on the other side of where that cathedral, that chapel is, or that Catholic church is, and all through the middle there are trees, big trees like that everywhere, and so it's wonderful for just chatting and eating oh, and it's fascinating to watch all the different kinds of things that go on there. So it's no wonder it always has crowds of people wandering around, really, really cool. Really, really cool. And this is another picture of those gardens. And always, if you look up, you can see that beautiful pink cathedral. I call it a cathedral. I always have, but it's not really a cathedral because in Catholic countries, that is a particular kind of building. But anyway, the Catholic Church, how's that? And so you can see that there's trees everywhere. There are people, benches. You can sit and enjoy life. And my friend and I were there together, and it was just so cool. Yeah. And if you need something, I'm sure it's for sale in the plaza, okay? Because all around the plaza and up and down the streets, you would find, close in, you would find that there are things for sale. And look at those strawberries. Can you imagine? When I was putting this together, we were laughing. Can you imagine how long it took to put every individual strawberry in its place? I thought that was hilarious. Obviously, so that's why I took a picture because I thought it was fun. And you could buy them there too, but he wasn't selling them off of that stack at that point. He was still selling them from the bucket and stuff that he had there to sell them. That was just so much fun. Just so much fun. Where would you ever see something like that? So that was really great. Another one of our favorite places to visit is La Fabrica, and the real name is Fabrica La Aurora. And we walked over there from the place we were staying, that house that lady rented to us for the week. Well, we can just walk over to everybody shortens it and calls it the La Fabrica. And we walked over there from our place in town and we looked around. There's all sorts of art. There are sculptures. There are all different kinds of art. And there are handicrafts, handmade items that people there in Mexico have made. Mexico has lots of indigenous people. I mean, Mexico is basically an indigenous country itself, but it's just really awesome. And you can buy anything you want. Plus, there's a nice little restaurant there. And we found a reason to go there. I'm sure we went there two or three times. It was really nice, really nice. Good food. ice cold drinks. The weather was a little warm and getting warmer while we were there. So yeah, yeah. Another little adventure that we had was a trek to the Cañada de la Virgen. This is, as you can see, it's one of the pyramid type things that are all over Mexico. You know, I always used to think that Chichen Itza or some of those other places like that, I always thought that they were an exception, that there were just a few like that. That's not true. Mexico has them all over. And this one is dedicated to the Virgin Mary, okay? And you can hike all the way up here. You see how little I look in this picture? That's how big that is. Well, I made it to the top and I looked around inside. There's a big it's like a tomb type thing inside there. And I looked around and everything. But let me give you a clue. Coming down is much more difficult than going up. And that's me climbing down there. But I'm telling you, it is so hard on your knees and everything else. And it's so far, it's so high. And every step is a different size. They're not even. So it isn't like in the States, stairs have to be exactly a certain way. And in Mexico, when they built these, they had to be a certain way, all right, just in the step. But there's a lot of unevenness. Anyway, I did make it back down, but I had to rest quite a bit before I made it. But I did make it. I don't think I could do that now. I don't have the same strong knees anymore, but I sure loved it when we did this in Mexico this time. So yeah, another place we went was to an art place of Mexican art. They paint murals. I'm sure you've seen murals. There's you can watch TV, you can watch YouTube and see different countries and different places where people have done mural art on walls and things in town. But most of these that you see like this in Mexico, they're historical. They tell a story. Okay. And I have never been so surprised and so pleased by the beauty that colors the lives of Mexicans. They love color, and you see it all the time. So it was so beautiful to go into these. I think this was called Bellas Artes. I'm not sure. I can't remember right this second. I don't have it written down. So anyway, this was a gorgeous place, and we enjoyed that too. So if you ever have the chance to visit San Miguel de Allende, don't hesitate for a minute. Just pack up and go. You will never regret it. It's a lovely place to spend a long time. I know we hear about a lot of places in Mexico that are having trouble, are having crime, and there are things going on. And where we used to live, which I will show you in another video, um, where we lived in Jalisco, there's a lot of what do we call, like, rival gangs that are trying to have control over certain areas of Mexico. And with all of the fantastic stuff that the new president is doing, she's absolutely fabulous. But there is still a really high level of crime in certain spots. And where we used to live this last time, the second time when we moved there, there's a lot of crime in that area. So that's one of the reasons that we left after 4 years. Well, partly we stayed for extra 2 years because of the pandemic, but I'll get to that in another slide. But if you ever have the chance to visit San Miguel de Allende, don't go for a week, don't go for 2 weeks. See if you can spread it out over a month, maybe. And don't go in June, July, and August because those are absolutely the hottest months. It starts getting hot in May, and then by July or August, it's just really warm. So please subscribe. I would love to have you get my videos and my presentations right when they come out so you don't miss any of the good stuff. Thanks for hanging in here with me and for listening to my story. We had fun, and I shared this with you because I want you to know that you never want to underestimate the impact of a short visit to a beautiful place. Ay, we love you, Mexico.